Got another RDA for you. Today we're going to be talking about the Tobh version 2.5 or the TOBH. Okay, latest, greatest, biggest, baddest version of this device. I would say for the past 3-4 months now, people have been saying, Rip, why don't you review the Tobh? I couldn't get one, guys. I couldn't buy one. I couldn't find one anywhere. You can't find these things. Thank goodness a vape shop sent this to me to review. And yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing today, reviewing this sucker. Long overdue. Got this TOBH 2.5 sitting on an authentic Poldiac. The build I have in here is a dual super nano coil reading at 0.5 ohms using 28 gauge Canthal. Got her closed off halfway, and I tell you what, the draw on this is airy. You got 3 holes on both sides, okay? 2.5 millimeters each in diameter, and like I said, airy, airy, airy. And boy, can she chuck. I mean, this is a cloud chaser's dream. Cloud chaser's dream, you're gonna chuck fat ass clouds. Flavor's good. It's not the best that I've ever experienced out of an RDA, but it's good. And I have done builds all the way from 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5, 1 ohm, 1.2, 1.3, 1.5, 1.8, etc. I've done builds all across the board, tested it on mechanical mods, variable voltage, variable wattage devices. Flavor's good, okay? Like I said, it's good. It's not the best. I wouldn't say it's in my top 3, that's for sure. But you know what? It's not bad. And like I said, for the cloud chasers, you're gonna love it. I think if you were able to make it to where you could close off that draw, make it tighter, the flavor would jump up, I mean exponentially. It would be a big difference. Right now I've got it closed off pretty much as closed off as possible. Chucks it, she chucks it. It whistles a little bit, we'll get into that. That's one of the cons. I wish you could just close it off. I want more of a restrictive lung hit. And I am not getting that restrictive lung hit satisfaction. But then again, this is subjective. So what I may like, you may not like. What you may like, I may not like or prefer. First pro, this thing is a 22 millimeter dripper, fits on all my mech mods, sits down flush, compatible with all my variable voltage, variable wattage devices. Looks sick as tits on this Poldiac. Oh yeah. The top cap has a conical design underneath, inside there, which is supposed to intensify the flavor. On the deck, it's got a 3-post design. The center post, the positive post, is taller to make it easier to insert your builds. Then the negative posts are milled into the deck. The juice well is not super shallow. It's not super deep. It's average, okay? You could fit a good amount of cotton in there. You could fit a good amount of juice in there. All these features that I'm mentioning, the heatsink top cap, the milled negative posts into the deck, okay? This device is one of the first, if not the first, to have these type of features. I thought I'd mention that because it does deserve, you know, recognition for that. The pin at the 510 connection is copper, which makes it super conductive. 510 threading, smooth, just like I mentioned, it is compatible with all my devices. Oh yeah, I almost forgot, this thing is made of 303 stainless steel, and the machining is top notch. A lot of craftsmanship goes into this, all the way down to the logo. It's got a laser cut logo, and they did change their logo. I'll show you guys in the close-ups. Do I like it? Do I like it compared to the old logo? I actually prefer the old logo versus the new one. The new one looks like a Christmas tree to me. You got 2 lightning bolts, okay? 2 lightning bolts going okay, and then below that you've got the T for Tobh or TOBH, and then above that you've got this arrow, and the arrow's pointing up. And I think there's symbolism to it, like up, up, and away. You know, like this thing is revolutionary and this and that, and it's the bee's knees. I get that, and I think that the creator, he put a lot into it, but also at the same time, it looks like a Christmas tree. I don't dislike it, but I like the old logo better. There's 2 cons to this device. One of them, this thing whistles. Second con, this may be a subjective con, but for you guys who like to use the 20 gauge, even the 22 gauge, 18 gauge, the holes in the post are 1.8 millimeter in diameter. They need to be bigger. Need to be bigger for the guys that want a super sub ohm, that like to use that thick ass wire. So those are my only 2 cons. Let's go ahead and dive down. I'm gonna show you guys a close up. This thing broken apart, how it works, how it goes together. Alrighty, let's go. Alrighty, so here is the Tobh version 2.5. As you guys can see, the deck, the barrel, and the top cap. Here is the deck, okay, so you can see it's a 3-post design. Negative posts are milled into the deck. Positive post is longer than the negative post, just makes it easier to insert your builds. Here is your juice well. average sized juice well, not the deepest, but not the most shallow juice well that I've seen or used before. You can fit a good amount of juice in there, a good amount of wick. Oh yeah, got the 2 notches on each side, which contribute to the adjustable airflow, which we will go over in a little bit. It uses Phillips head screws to tighten down and make a connection with your leads. And look at those post holes. I mean, not the largest post holes that I've dealt with or seen. 1.8 millimeter in diameter. That's the size of those post holes. And I've been able to use 24 gauge with ease, 26 gauge, 28 gauge with ease, just swallows it right up. 22 gauge on the other hand, it's more difficult. I've done dual coil builds using the 24 gauge, or I mean the 22 gauge, and with the 22 gauge, it's just difficult. It fits, but it's just a snug fit. It's got the 2 O-rings at the base for your barrel. Fits on there snug as a bug. Doesn't leak. Haven't had any leaking issues. There is the base of this RDA Tobh Mods version 2.5 2014, and you got hashtag not a clone. You got the copper pin, which makes it super conductive, and then these threads, these 510 threads, buttery smooth. Fits on all my devices, all my variable voltage, variable wattage, mechanical mods, etc. So here is the barrel, and here is the new logo. It's laser cut. I mean, the quality of it, of the cutting, is just fantastic. You've got 3 2.5 millimeter air holes drilled out on each side. Inside of this barrel. Here is the top cap, heatsink design top cap, keeps the device cooler longer. Okay, you've got the bevel up top, drip tip hole. Every drip tip that I own has been compatible. Oh yeah, and then you've got this conical design underneath there. It's supposed to intensify the flavor. I mean, this thing's a beaut. This top cap is definitely a looker. So I got my build in here, got my Super Nano build using 28 gauge Kanthal sitting on a cotton cloud, both sides. And these suckers are reading at 0.5 ohms. Now the way I've been doing it is I make sure that each build I do on each side is either on one side or the other, the right or the left, from the notch in the middle. Top cap inserts into the barrel. Boom! Alright, so this is how I do it. I adjust the top cap. I don't twist. I don't put it on there and twist. The way I do it is I go ahead and line it up, and I make sure that 1 or 2 of those holes is blocked off by that middle slot, and whichever is blocked off on one side is going to be exactly the same blocked off on the other. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to try to block off 2 of those slots. Boom, just like that. This hole is directly in front of the coil on this side. This hole is directly in front of the coil on the other side. You can run the sucker wide open, and to do that, you just line it up to where the 3 holes are directly in front of the coil, away from that notch on each side, and boom, wide open, baby. And then you got 2 air holes in front of each coil on both sides. Another way you could do it is you can just make it to where you're covering up the middle hole, okay, in front of the notch. And then you've got 1/2 of the hole covering the coil, and then 1/2 of the hole covering the other side, obviously the same on both sides. And what that does is it makes the draw a little bit tighter. Actually, I've really been enjoying doing it this way. I've gotten a tighter draw. It's giving me a more saturated vape. Pop the drip tip in. Oh, and we're good to go. So I received this dripper from an online vape shop called VaporDNA.com. Okay, here's a link right here. I also have a link in the description. On their site, this thing runs $89.99. Now I'll tell you what, for a high-end dripper made in the USA, by the way, for $89, anything under $100, that's getting somewhere. I mean, for a device that's manufactured in the States, I mean, they're not outsourcing this thing. $89? Some places $85? That's pretty darn good. But here's the bad news. This thing is not accessible. Go figure. So here's the question. If Vapor DNA hadn't sent this to me for review, would I have purchased it? And the answer is yes. And the only reason is because people have been bugging me for the past 3, 4, 5 months on getting a review out for this sucker. And anytime people are bugging me and I see Tobh, TOBH version 2.5, TOBH version 1. Anytime I see that name thrown out of me excessively, it gets me intrigued. So that is my take on the Tobh version 2.5. I hope that helps. This is Rip Trippers, and remember, smoking is dead, vaping is the future, and the future is now.